I'm Richard Wolffe, and I'm an analyst at MSNBC and a book author of two now Obama books. You know, for a long time, people thought I was a stupid foreigner. So the idea that someone called Barack Hussein Obama would become the president of the United States was preposterous right up until the moment it actually happened. You know, for that first year, for 2007, when we were all tramping around Iowa, at least a few of us who thought Iowa would be important or that this guy had any prospects, for a lot of that time, most people thought it was a wild goose chase and would end in misery and tears and that kind of thing. I thought win or lose, it was a fascinating story, and obviously once he started winning some of the races, people started to look very differently at it. So yeah, it was really important being there when times were tough and they were screwing up badly, because it wasn't one straight shot to victory at all. It was a long slog full of many, many moments of failure and despair and doubt, self-doubt for them. So I actually think you learn much more from those moments. And that was the great thing about being there from the start. Yes, the highs were extraordinary in terms of being there on election night and seeing everyone very excited. That was great. Having that front row seat was a huge privilege. But I learned much more about him and about his group of people, about his friends, his family, and his inner circle of advisors from watching them when they thought it was over. And they thought it was over several times, as people do now. I mean, the same has been true of the presidency. I mean, you know, no one would say, well, it's been one straight shot to success. If anything, right now people think, well, it's just this awful time and how could he ever get reelected? They've been through that before, and I've seen them go through that before, and they've done it before in this presidency. There are these huge highs and lows. So there's a repeated pattern that you see having been there for a while, and that's something you get with experience of having tracked it all the way through. You know, one of the myths about politics and about presidents is that they never change. Nothing ever changes. They're the same, only more so. They've gone back to who they really were. That's not true. They change, they adapt, and they age. They just age really quickly. And I saw that I got the first print interview with him in the Oval Office in February. He was only in his job for a month. And you could see the lines on his face and the dark circles under his eyes, and yes, the gray hair, just accelerating before your eyes. And that hasn't changed. And that says to me, look, I saw the same with Bush before him. This is an extremely difficult job at an extremely difficult time. It was for Bush, it's even more so now. You have wars and a collapsing economy. So that's one thing. The other thing is, he does have a tremendous sense of self-belief. And even when his closest advisors are telling him, drop it, don't do it, people won't like the comparison, but it's true of Bush too. I mean, I guess it says something about what qualities you need to get to that job. But if you don't believe that you can tough it out, then no one does. Journalism means something to people because it plugs into our basic human way of interacting with each other and learning. We learn as kids by stories. And being a storyteller for people, and I mean that in an accurate way, not a false way, being a storyteller really moves people. You have a unique relationship with readers, with viewers, to change the way they look at the world, the way they behave, the products they buy, to go more green or to go volunteer or to be part of the Peace Corps. You can have a real impact in journalism in a way that you really cannot in pretty much any other profession. Of course, doctors do astonishing work for individuals. Elected officials can affect big parts of the country. But to have that emotional connection to an audience, to big groups of people, journalism is just about the only way you can do that. And that comes from storytelling.